Welcome to our weekly Governance Voice. This is a program brought to you courtesy of the Institute of Certified Secretaries, powered by Bafunde. I am your host, Obare Nyaega. This morning, we continue with our Women in Governance series. This is a series that brings together women movers, the women who have had an impact in the economy and in the governance space. This morning, we are lucky and privileged to have Madam Beatrice Kamau, who is a mediator and a community mobilizer. Speaking a little bit about Madam Beatrice Kamau, she is currently working with the Women Political Alliance and World March of Women. Previously, she has worked for other organizations as a human rights activist, having founded the Release Political Prisoners and also having founded People Against Torture. These were very critical movements during the fight for various liberations in our country. Karibu to the studio, Madam Beatrice.
Thank you very much, Mr. Obare. I'm humbled to be here. And I consider myself lucky to have been called to this very wonderful session. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you very much. Karibu sana. And I want to begin off by what sometimes is called activism, which is sometimes connotes some negativity, like people who fight the government of the day. How would you demystify this activism into something positive?
I think activism to me has been something very positive, because it is something that it is a self-drive that drives you towards a certain direction that you want to take, and you have to be there. So you can be an activist of environment to ensure that you are protecting the trees, the animals. You can also be an activist to protect human rights. I fall within the category of protecting human rights. And I am a human rights defender. And I have been forced to call myself human rights defender because people think that activism is a bad thing, but really activism is that self-drive that you get in, that makes you, do I say makes you tick? I don't know. But it is something that is positive. It is never supposed to be negative. And it is only feared because when you have the drive, then you cannot be derailed by money or any political opinion. You have to push your agenda. So for those people who may want to derail you, they might find it negative because they know that they cannot derail you.
All right. How easy is it to be an activist, actually? I have seen people really sometimes mopped up, sometimes beaten, sometimes taken to court. How easy is it to be an activist, and probably a lady, a female activist?
It's not easy to be an activist, especially when you are a woman, because of the cultural norms. You are expected to be humble. You are not expected to talk, probably in front of people. There are some things that you do that may not anchor well because of now that drive. Because women are supposedly not supposed to be too pushy. But it's not easy even at family level, because you will find sometimes you have to neglect even your motherly roles, where you have to push for some things. You find that for some days you are put in prison, you stay there for 3 days, it was not expected. You are beaten. I have been beaten several times by the police. At first you are afraid, but then there is a lot of teamwork. When there is a lot of teamwork, it's also something that is very enjoyable, especially when you see the results. Like now, when you find the Constitution and you can be able to identify some of the things that you pushed for and they're in the Constitution and people are enjoying, you actually feel satisfied.
All right.
Yeah.
Your journey of activism has gone to almost 30 years now.
Yeah.
And we talk about different liberations, first liberation, second, third.
Yeah.
You've been through this particular journey.
Yes.
Would you just clarify what these liberations were? What is the second liberation or third liberation in Kenya?
Yeah, let me start by saying I found myself into it, especially the first liberation. I was a young girl then, maybe in my early 20s. And what drove me to joining activism or to joining release political prisoners was the day I opened a newspaper when I was in the office and I saw naked women being beaten by police. I remember one of my colleagues coming to show me the papers and laughing, and I cried because I had a little background of what had happened from the papers. When I saw those women, I realized, I felt that I am the one who is strong enough, who should be fighting for this. It's not them. And there and then I went and visited them. And from there, even when they were in the bunkers, I used to visit them. We used to encourage them. And so then I found myself there. And from there, things moved from one level to the other. And that's where I met many people like Wangari Maathai. We would fight for the environment, at the same time fight for human rights. And it's not something that I can say I planned for, but then I can be able to see our marks or our footsteps all along, from changing the constitution, that is section 2A, where we got multipartism, all the way to having multi-party democracy, changing the constitution, which was not very easy, and even now getting the gains in the constitution and some of them trickling down to the county level. It has not been a very easy journey, but it is something that it is, how do I say, one activity rolled to another one, and we found ourselves, and sometimes you feel like stepping out, but you find yourself back. I don't know whether you have ever been saved. You see that drive of saved people. That's the drive that we get in the kind of work we do. And what gives us motivation is when we see people realizing the gains that we have fought for.
All right.
Yeah.
So if you look at the various regimes over time, we've come from different liberations. Of course, different regimes had different challenges.
Yes.
If you walk that journey, let's say from the Kanu regime, now we up to now when we have the current regime, how would you say they have either contributed positively or otherwise to what you believe in? You believe in peace building, social justice, women empowerment. How have these regimes contributed to these things that you believe in very strongly over time?
I think my foundation is from where I schooled, because I was in Loreto School, a Christian school, and we had a very good basic lessons in Christianity. But in Loreto, we also learned that your freedom and your rights are very important. So basically, I didn't understand government then, because I loved Moi. We loved Moi. He used to come to our school and give us, we sing for him, he gives us money, we take milk and all that. Until now, I came I came out of school, and we started now understanding that things were not right. Then multipartism, I found myself in one-party system. So to understand multipartism is when we realized that people had been kicked out of KANU and they could not join any other political party. Hence, they could not even vie. Hence, we could not even exercise our right and give them votes. And since we had been taught how to stand on our rights, this is where it started. And when now, then that moment, I think I can still remember when Section 2A was removed and the celebrations that were there. And I can still remember Shikuku, Honorable Matiba, all those people celebrating and fighting, even fighting for the second liberation. It was not easy. We were the foot soldiers then. We would give them push. We would push them. And it is then that we now started fighting for, when I really joined is when I told you, fighting for the release of political prisoners. We had to understand who these people were and why we had to fight for them. I remember that time, the seditious, the seditious materials that were considered to be seditious are the things that we see today, every day. Even somebody would think such a boring thing would be called a seditious article. And it is then that we came together and we talked as women. I came together with the mothers and we started discussing, and people like Wangari Maathai, Phyllis Wangui Kamau would tell us more about this in the bunkers. And we felt the urge that then that it is I believe in change, but I also believe in being on the front line if I want to see things changed. And in our work, we were able now we started pushing for we pushed for the release of political prisoners, and the 52 were released except one, Apinyi, and we fought for another 3 years before he was released. From there, the people who were released, Tirop Kitul, Kang'ethe Mungai, and many others, some went home, but some came and joined us, and we were led then by Jerry Kabeberi and Karim Nduthu, and we formed the Release Political Prisoners movement. And we decided that we were going to change the constitution. We are going to push for the change of the constitution, because the constitution that we had was written at Lancaster by a few people. And then Uganda then was our example, because Museveni then had come up with this new constitution. We used to read books like The Mustard Seed and see how he did it, and we felt that we wanted to be like Uganda. So we would educate ourselves as a group. There was no consideration of whether you had a degree or you had dropped out of school. When you got these things, then we would go to the villages and teach people. Now, remember, there was a law that you could not hold a public gathering for more than 3 people. And here we were the first ones to hold a public meeting without hiding, without a license. How did we used to go? We didn't hold just one, we held many. We would just go and decide that, let's say we go to a place like Kisumu or somewhere. We would travel and then we would call people, educate people in 3-4 minutes, then we would tell them to run away, and we would remain and we would sit down, and the police would come and club us, or they would chase us. Then we would go. Then we would again organize. We were very organized. Then we started organizing demos and locking our hands, and we would sit on the roads and push for our points. Until at one point we were referred as the political, not the wings, what we call the youth wingers for the opposition, because then we were resonating well with the opposition, because everybody who was in the opposition or who was opposing the regime then was on our side. We had Kina Kibaki, Martha Karua, Wamalwa, Kijana. They were all these people who we were looking upon, and they came and gave us support. In between, as we were negotiating for the constitution, we agreed and disagreed with some of them, because we had this song which we call we used to call it our national anthem. And then it gives us, it tells us what we want to do. And there is one place where we say, tutanyakua mashamba yetu, na tuikomboe elimu yetu. They would say, can you hear this place that is tutanyakua mashamba kwa sababu tuko na mashamba? We said, you have the mashambas, others don't have the mashambas. So it has been a very interesting journey. All right.
So you implied something around the bunkers, or is it the Nyayo house, chambers?
No, those two are different.
They are different.
The bunkers were in in the cathedral.
Okay.
This is when the women were beaten. I told you that the women, especially Mama Mirugi, is my mentor, because she was such a tiny woman but very strong, and she refused to bend, even when women almost gave up and wanted to go and beg President Moi to release their sons. She said, no, I'm not going to beg anybody. It is my right that my children should be released, and they have not committed any crime, and I'm not living here until we go. So when they were beaten by police, one day they were beaten and taken at night to their homes. But the following day, they came back. So I think it is Reverend Nyaega who gave them the bunkers at the church. We didn't even know that there were big rooms in the cathedral. And the women now stayed there for 1.5 years, I think, pushing for the release of their sons, which where they finally won.
All right.
And this is where we say women don't have a reverse gear. All you need to do is engage the first one and they will actually change.
Right.
And I believe that the women will change this country.
That's an amazing way.
So that is the bunkers.
Okay.
Nyayo House was before the bunkers. Those people, the police, the political prisoners who were arrested, Kina Jeru Kathangu, Anyona, and many others. I don't know whether you know Kina Padi Onyango, Kina Tirop Kitur, Kina Kangede, were actually arrested and taken to Nyayo House, where they were, because they were seen to be opposing the government. And after Nyayo House, when they confessed, they would be taken to court, sometimes even in the middle of the night. And then they would be taken to prison. So when Kibaki, President Kibaki came to power, we organized. That time I was working with people against torture. We organized ourselves, and we made a request that we wanted the bunkers to be opened, the Nyayo House bunkers. We had never set eyes on it. We wanted it to be opened, and we wanted it to be made a monument, a historical monument of what had happened there, because people were being tortured. And Nyayo House, there are bunkers on the ground, and then there was one lift that was directly, not stopping in any other floor. From that up to 24th floor. The torture would happen at the 24th floor, and then they would be returned to the bunkers. So I am proud to say that together with the Nyayo House torture survivors, because unfortunately some people died, we managed to push the government, and they opened, and the Kiraito Murongi, who was the minister then, officiated the opening of Nyayo House. And it is very interesting because the government started saying no, that those were safes that they were building. It is a very, I think one day you should just go there. There are these big doors, very heavy doors, like the ones for the safes in the bank. So they said that they were building them to be safes for the Nyayo House. So the question was, why did they have a peeping hole? Because there is a peeping hole. You know, the ones that they put on the door, a glass one. But we found it almost intact. They had put pipes that would blow a lot of wind. Then there were other pipes that would, it had a control room, the torture chamber. We call it the Nyayo House torture chambers. It had a control room where the people in the rooms, in the small cubicles, would you sometimes just switch, and then water would pour in the rooms. And then they would sometimes put another button and switch, and then there would be a lot of heat. Or sometimes they would just blow, and then there would be a lot of wind. And so these people would be tortured, and then they would be put in waterlogged cells, and they really suffered. So that is the Nyayo House torture chambers. And I still believe that because it has never been actualized, we should actually have that one as a monument to remind people where we came from. Those are two types of bunkers.
Thank you very much for that. You've also been involved internationally with the Somalia women to try and also push for inclusion and political leadership. How would you say that journey has been also, and maybe the learning successes?
Yes, I have. I worked with an organization called IDA, Women's for Development, and the Somalia, which had been unstable for 25 years then, was trying to come together. They have what we can refer to as negotiated democracy. Unlike Kenya, where we have one man, one vote, in Somali, the majority of people don't have ID cards. The majority of people cannot vote. And then for 25 years, the life had been disrupted. So even the education system had been disrupted. So they had this system where they call it 4.1, or whereby the 4 larger clans would they would divide the votes, where the 4 would get 1 each, and then the minorities would be given 1 vote. Like you get 4, then because in Somali it's not like where we have different tribes like the 72 here. We have 4 large clans, not tribes. So the elders would sit together and elect who goes to parliament. What does that mean? Women would be left out. So I was there where I was working for IDA, which is an organization that works on governance, and we negotiated with the international community, and we negotiated with the Wazes. I organized women. I helped to organize women so that they would go and negotiate for their space, because they were also writing a constitution. And they had said May. So women, they had said they would give women their 1/3, but it was never done, even in their sharing methodology. So we worked with women, and in between we also realized that there were so many laws that they had not made. They had an interim constitution, which was very good, but it was not being used. So we worked with the women and some gender champions. Those were men, and those men who support women in Somalia, we recruited them to be gender champions. And it is in there that we were able to work with parliament, and we were able to come with the Somali National Human Rights Commission, which I am not sure whether they have actualized it, because when now it came to populating it, or to having the commissioners and all that, the formula that they have for the 4.1 was not working, and the government wanted to put its people, but the laws there were very clear that there had to be a certain criteria of coming up with these people. So it is just like our constitution, where it has been very hard to implement the 2/3, because there was lacking political will, or there has been lacking the political will of having the 2/3.
You speak about the constitution, and you are very instrumental in trying to formulate this particular document, speaking about your history. One thing it has done, that it has really changed the issue of the governance structure in the country. And I'm sure you had aspirations when you were trying to push for some of these rights that you wanted. So do you think that it captured well the aspiration, especially trying to empower the women, representation of women in our new constitution?
It did. I still believe that our constitution is one of the best constitutions, I think, even in the world. But I am happy that we have those articles in the constitution, but it has not been able to capture the constitution has captured the aspirations of Kenyans. What it has not done, it has not been implemented. Remember, when in the second liberation, President Kibaki promised us a constitution within 100 days. It was never given. There were some broken promises, broken memorandums, and all that, and we went into that until we went to the next election and the next election. Now, 2007 was a very bad moment. Because people seemed to have gone back to their cocoons, and there was a lot of bloodshed and all that. But it's good, because now the constitution we had fought for 20 years came to actualization. Because I think it was in 2010, and as I have said, that we started pushing for the constitution from 1992, 93 there, we were pushing for a better constitution. So I think that we have a very good constitution. And remember, after I am now talking about the moments of negotiations. There was now the two-way, then there was now the government, the Kibaki government come to power. There was negotiation around how they mobilized. There was broken promises. Then there was another negotiation after the 2007, which was brokered by Kofi Annan. And I remember that there were 4 agendas that were supposed to return the country back to normal. All the agendas were met, especially the ones of the handshake, the sharing of power and all that. But those that concerned Wanjiku, or those that concerned the ordinary Kenyans, like you and me, Obare, were left out. But they were only captured in the constitution. Because they kind of thought that they were expensive to implement. I don't know what, but we captured them in the constitution. Now, in the constitution, chapter 4 of the constitution is the one that captures our aspiration. It is the human rights chapter. And then we also have chapter 6 that talks about the integrity. If chapter 4 of the constitution and the chapter 6 of the constitution can be implemented, Kenya can be a different country. The chapter of integrity was watered down. I'm sure you know about it, that the laws that were made actually were watered down. When you come to devolution was a good thing. I remember that in all our national meetings, especially the human rights conferences, the people from Northeastern would be talking about how they had been neglected, historical injustices and all that. It has not completely cured, but it has cured a bit of that, because now monies are going to every county and probably every constituency. With the CDF that even came before the devolution, people were able to get money down there. Today, you will not hear people talking about being so marginalized, but there is still marginalization at every county level, because there are some people at the county level, because there was one thing that they never implemented. The structure of the governance was supposed to be president or executive at the national level. Then we were supposed to have devolution. In devolution, we were supposed to go up to the village level. Representation was supposed to go up to the village level, where it was expected that at the village level, from your village, people will be meeting having representations who will be meeting at the ward level, and the MCA and the ward administrator would actually be in this meeting to get what Kenyans want or what the citizens want. Because what this village want is not what your village. Yours may be requiring water because there is no river near. Ours may be requiring a generator. And therefore, we were supposed to make decisions on how the budget we gets down and trickles down to Wanjiku, getting services closer to the people. Now, those services never get close to the people. 70% of the budget goes to recurrent expenditure, salaries of who? Not the Wanjikus, not. So there is still that gap, because the money is there, yes, but the way it is spent, Wanjiku doesn't have a say. Then the issue of participation was emphasized in the constitution and was very key. People's participation, their aspirations and all that. But how do you participate even in making a budget when you are not involved and people just come with the papers and then they say, we have this paper, please endorse it, and you are given 1,000 and you go home. And then if you are told to go and get the villagers, you go and get your relatives so that they get the 1,000 that they are getting as an allowance. We have failed in that. The MCAs, why did we have the MCAs and say that we should have a county assembly at the county? We expected an MCA to be driving from his home to the county assembly, and he would be meeting his people and they would be telling them their problems. But you find that they are not staying there. The moment they are elected, they either come and stay in that town or they move to another town and they become another waheshimiwas who you only talk to their PAs when you want. So we haven't succeeded in the implementation.
Right. So you've had quite a journey, and I'm sure you had your moments, what I want to call the I can't breathe moments. Do you have those times that you want to share whereby then time has been also a bit difficult on yourself?
Do I start with the moments? Those ups. When we had the 52 political prisoners released, then we were so happy. Then we worked again when we had the last political prisoner then released, Apinyi. I remember we traveled all the way to his home and we took him. And I remember when he tasted sugar for the first time. Imagine, after being in prison for a long time, I can't remember whether it was 11 years or what. It was like he had even forgotten how sugar tastes. So this gave us the morale to move on. The next one is when we had the new constitution. It was like now I believed that my work was over. I wanted to go to the village and work because now we had this constitution. We forgot that we needed to have the laws to implement it and all that. And then it was never to be. The other one was when the opposition won, when Kibaki's government came into power. It was a wow moment for everybody because we expected all corruption to end, people to work, money to come, and those two moments, those few moments, and then the opening of Nyayo House. It was like a dream come true that now we are talking with the government. The other one was the opening of prisons, which was during Kamakil's time. Initially, you could not even talk to Kamakil was the head of prisons. You could not even deliver a letter. We used to take a letter to his office. He would tell us to take it to Harambee House. That was the one who was before him. But Kamakil said that he had opened the doors, and it was through the work that we did together with Alice Dirito, who is now the advisor of the General Secretary, the UN General Secretary. Yeah, he's called UN General Secretary. She's the advisor on genocide. So we never believed that they could open prison doors for human rights defenders to go and interact with prisoners and also the prison warders. So those were the wow moments.
And the low moments?
The low moments have been many.
Maybe a few.
A few is when your family don't understand you. They think that you have wasted a lot of time. They think that you do a lot of work without pay. They think that, that is one of them. The other low moment was when women didn't get, we win the cases in court to get the women positions, and then we don't get them. It is like implementing the constitution when the constitution has been watered down, especially on the area of the integrity question. We thought that come the new constitution, we would only get people who are clean to even vie or something like that. So the moment you see those, then you ask yourself, all these years that you have put, probably if you had put your energies in business, you would be a billionaire. So the scariest moment, when I was very scared, was my first time to be clobbered by police. We had gone to Uhuru Park, and we were fighting for the constitution. And we were led by Reverend Joya, Kina Maina Kiai, Willie Mutunga, but they were at the periphery until then, you came and watched. And I remember I was acting as a journalist. I was pretending to be a journalist. I had my notebook and a pen. And so the police withdrew. You remember the way they withdrew when Honorable Raila was being sworn in? That's how the people, that's how the police withdrew, and there was no police officer to be seen. So I placed my notebook in the pocket and we started singing. And Reverend Joya was in the process of praying. And I was, you don't close your eyes. You are not sure. You close and open. You close and open. It is at that particular time that the police came from all corners of Uhuru Park. Some from the university side, some from Serena, some from town. And it was like now we were going to be closed down, to be closed over. Now we started scattering, and I am, you see, from my weight, which didn't start just now, I cannot run very fast. So I had to choose how to die. I believed that it was my dying moment. These were the police officers with on horses. These were there was a police officer that side with a gun, and then there were others coming with rungus from the other direction. So there was no way you were going to escape. So it was to make a very quick decision. I decided dying with a bullet is easier than the horse, because even the horses, they used to carry rungus. So I ran towards the guy who had the gun. Then he told me, "Madam, just pass here, because if you pass me, I'm not sure you are not going to be shot." So he led me to a direction. But the ones with the rungus saw me, and they came and they wanted to break my legs because they just threw the rungu like this. I jumped and I slipped and I faced up, and they started clobbering me. There were 7 of them beating a woman. So, and then I had to use my legs and my hands to try and protect myself. But one of them actually was aiming at my middle. It was like he wanted just to break me. And then I caught the rungu, I stood up. There was that police officer who had directed me. He came running and told them that they should not beat me again. They said, "We have to finish this one. She's the one who is pretending to be a journalist." Then he told them, "You people, are you not ashamed of yourselves? All you attacking one woman who is not even armed. I'm ordering you to stop beating her again." Then he came. It was like he would also have shot them, so they backed off. He's the one who escorted me up to the road, and that's how I was saved. I thought that I was dead because when I woke up, I first shook my head like this because I had been hit here, and I realized I had not died. Then I checked my hand; it was swollen. And then it is then that I learned, so these rungus can actually not kill a human being. And from that time, I never got afraid again of the rungus.
Very unfortunate, and we sympathize with that. So as we finish up, probably it's good to ask also, if you are to think of yourself as a 21-year-old, could you tell yourself a different story, or you still pursue the same path?
If I was a 21-year-old, I would probably have a different story, because I would want to change the society, because currently sometimes I feel that the 21-year-olds, which are our children, may not have realized where we have come from. And if we don't, we still need peace in the country. If you look at countries where there has been war, where there has not been peace, I would not want us to sleep there. But with the careless mistakes that are being made, or if we make one careless mistake, we can also sleep. The country can sleep to anarchy. And if I was 21 years old again, I would want to see real change in this country in terms of protecting the human rights, protecting the people, protecting the children, and ensuring that everybody has something to put on the table. Because this country has plenty. It's only that the resources are not managed well.
Right.
If the resources were managed well in this country, I think we have the most beautiful country. I'm saying this because I've traveled a lot. I've gone to other countries in Africa. I've gone to Europe. I've seen them doing many things. And it's not because they have a lot of resources. It's because they are managing. And we have a lot of resources, Obare, I can tell you that.
All right. So I hope you'll sing for us one song you were doing when you were doing your campaigns before you do your closing remarks, and face that camera and, tell the people who fear activism, or younger people who have now changed their activism into online platforms, how they could use them positively to influence other things. Beatrice, probably you could speak to us about it and do the song as well.
Dhuluma ikija zote tuwe tayari. Dhuluma ikija zote tuwe tayari. Ikiwa mbele yako kanyaga, kanyaga, kanyaga. Kanyaga, kanyaga, zote tuwe tayari. Bunduki zikija zote tuwe tayari. Bunduki zikija zote tuwe tayari. Zikija nyuma yako kanyaga, kanyaga, kanyaga. Kanyaga, kanyaga, zote tuwe tayari.
Thank you so much. By the way, you've also had a stint on politics. How was the experience in 2013, 2017?
Yes, as I told you about it, when I was in primary school, when we were just leaving Standard 7, I was told, we were told by our headmaster that if you really want to see things change, then you have to be there. And he taught a song, you really want to see your people different. The right guy to start with is you yourself. Come on, brothers, there is work to do. Don't stand by. Bystanders are betrayers. So, from that song, I have always, if I want to change, I don't believe in asking others to do it. I believe in joining them. So I really wanted to see this. We had fought for the women gains in the constitution. We had negotiated. We had even gone to Rift Valley to try and persuade these members of parliament. And unfortunately, the young ones were the ones who were refusing to take our issues on board, but some of them. So I decided now, because we have had this new position, women rep, and it was a very new position, I wanted to have a go at it, because I believed that as a woman rep, I would be able to change many things, and I would be one of the people implementing the constitution that we had fought very hard for. Unfortunately, I didn't get. So I decided now, because they are those ones and they had shaped the position, I later, 2017, I decided I wanted to go for senatorial position, especially on the issue of resources, because resources is everything. And I wanted to see the county money getting down, trickling down to its expected work. And I know that, I still believe that the senators have not done their work as regards to ensuring that the Kenyans are enjoying the fruits of devolution. I gave it a shot. Unfortunately, being a woman, you have to work 10 times harder to get into a position where you are competing with men. I came number 2, although I still say that I won, because if you have more than 15,000 people believing in you, then even when I stand, I actually say that I'm standing on behalf of those people who elected me. So I actually never lost. It's only the votes that were not enough.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So you can face that camera, talk to the younger activists and people who want to, how they can transform their social media influencing into a common good. Madam Beatrice.
Yeah, thank you very much, Obara. What I would tell young activists, all those people who are aspiring to see change in their country, is to be there themselves and work. And there's nothing as satisfying as seeing a change or a contribution that you have made benefiting Kenyans. I may not be a rich woman by Kenyan standards, but deep in my heart, I think I'm a very rich woman because I can count the gains that I have contributed in this country, not alone, but with others that we have contributed. One of them being the Constitution, the gender gains, and the fact that torture in this country has gone down compared to how it used to be. So it gives you satisfaction, and it is not a bad thing. Activism is not bad. The politicians and the people in power should not fear activists because their work is to level the ground so that everybody gets a chance to bring their best foot forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was Beatrice Kamau talking to us through her journey and how she has seen the first, second, and third liberation, the new constitution, and transforming the structures of governance, and of course, empowering women and ensuring that the human rights are protected. That was the weekly Governance Voice, brought to you courtesy of the Institute of Certified Secretaries, powered by Bafunde. I am your host, Obare Nyaega. Until next week, see you.